This is Mac OS Ken.
Various views on Apple Upgrade. It is Thursday, the 6th of August, 2026. I'm Ken Ray, and this is a special edition of Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by OneSkin, a new standard for your skin. Try it now with 15% off using code MacOSKen at oneskin.co/MacOSKen. It's sort of surprising that something as innocuous as a hardware upgrade program could lead to heated discussion. And again, it's 2026. These days asking, hot enough for ya? Could lead to heated discussion. A lot of people have been bothered by Apple Upgrade, which bothered today's guest. We'll talk to Jeff Gamet in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Helix Sleep, making premium mattresses and bedding that are customized to fit your personal needs. I keep telling you how much we love the Helix Midnight Luxe with optional Glaciotex cooling cover that we got. That's my special lady friend and me. We're both side sleepers, and we both woke every morning with sore hips before we got our Helix. We also sleep hot, but that hasn't been an issue thanks to the optional Glaciotex cooling cover, to which we said, we'll take that option. Our sleep similarities may have made it easy, but Helix Sleep is up for the challenge. It asked about us individually, not us as a unit. They'll ask you a lot of questions to find the right mattress for you or the right mattress for you and yours. And they'll make sure it's right. The Happy with Helix guarantee gives you a 120-night sleep trial with seamless returns and exchanges. You get free shipping with your Helix mattress delivered right to your door. Go to helixsleep.com/MacOSKen for 20% off site-wide. That's helixsleep.com/MacOSKen for 20% off site-wide. HELIX. Get savings of 20% off site-wide at helixsleep.com/MacOSKen. I don't know that there's a title. I think you're just a guy being a dude at this point, right?
I'm a guy being a dude.
Guy being a dude. Jeff Gamet, a guy being a dude, online at jeffgamet.com. Good to talk to you.
It's always great to get to talk with you. And I'm so happy you reached out and said, hey, let's do a thing, because it's you, Ken. How could I say no?
Well, what's interesting is you were kind of fired up, I think. So last week, Apple introduced the Apple Upgrade program, cleverly called Apple Upgrade. And running through it really quickly, there's a press release online. Go to apple.com/newsroom. You can find it, or go back to, podcasts all over the place last week. Throw a rock at an Apple site. You'll find something about it, before Apple reported a record quarter that led to its stock dropping 25 points. Go figure.
Yeah.
So Apple introduced the Apple Upgrade program. Apple Upgrade offers 12 and 24-month leasing options for iPhone and Apple Watch, 24 and 36-month leasing options for Mac and iPad. At the end of the lease term, Apple says customers can upgrade their device to the latest generation. They can purchase it with a one-time payment or simply return it and exit the program. Leasing prices start at $11.99 for Apple Watch and or iPad, $17.99 for iPhone, $24.99 for the Mac. Apple says folks can lower their monthly lease payments by trading in their currently owned device through the Apple Trade-In program. Now, there's plenty more in the program, some of which we might hit. You seem to have a problem with the problems that people have with Apple Upgrade. Before we get to whether that is a correct assessment, let me just ask you about the program itself. Do you like it?
Actually, I'm kind of indifferent about it,
Okay.
Which is surprising considering I ended up cranking out 1,000 words this morning on something that I say I'm indifferent about, but whatever. I think it's a perfectly fine program, assuming you understand what the program is.
So then, if you're fine with the program, what was it that got you head up?
what got me all hot and bothered was that I keep seeing so many takes online about people who are upset about this program. And every time I get into reading their arguments about why this is a bad thing, it always distills down to pretty much the same thing, which is this is a crappy finance program if I want to buy a new Mac or iPhone or whatever. And okay, I can't argue that because it is a crappy program if you're trying to just buy the device, because that's literally not what the program is. So reading enough of those takes, I finally hit a point where I'm like, oh, I'm going to spend my morning at a coffee shop writing about what the program really is and why it's not as bad as a lot of people are making it out to be.
Okay. See, because here's the thing. I'm one of the people, I wouldn't say I'm against the program. I am one of the people that it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth.
Okay. And that's a totally fair take.
Okay.
I would love to know why it left a bad taste in your mouth.
Oh, see, but if we get to that, then we're done.
It makes it easier on me.
Yeah, then you could go out and play. Let me push back on a couple of things that you said in your blog post, because this was the interesting thing. I think it was on Friday, because as people hear this, I don't know what day it is. I think it's Wednesday. It might be Thursday. I'm not sure. We're actually recording on Saturday. I believe it was Friday afternoon or evening that Jeff was like, yeah, I might have to write a blog post about this. And I, got on the instant messaging, whatever, FaceTime chat thing Apple has. I'm doing great today, by the way. Did I mention it Saturday? So I got on the instant messaging and I said to Jeff, are you really going to write a blog post about this? So sorry if I actually prompted you to spend your Saturday morning writing about this whole thing. But in your writing...
Don't apologize. It's good.
Okay. Well, just wait. In your writing, you said Apple made the intent of the program clear in its name by calling it Apple Upgrade, not Apple Finance. I would argue that they could have made it clearer by calling it Apple Lease or hardware subscription.
Okay.
Which is an ugly name. It's an ugly name, but I feel like they're trying to make it more attractive than it might actually kind of be.
All right. I will grant you Apple Lease. That would actually be a really good name for this. And yeah. And now I feel lame that I didn't think of that.
Well, I mean, it's not sexy, though. Apple Lease does not sound sexy. Apple Upgrade sounds like, it sounds like something that might be good for me. And I think this is where we actually start to hit on a little bit of the problem that I had with it. Not enough that I'm going to write a blog post, although I do have a podcast where I get to mouth off now and again.
That's convenient.
Yeah, it's not bad. It works out for me occasionally, although some people would disagree. Let's move on. At Apple said Apple's VP of Apple Store Online, a name I didn't know before, Karen Rasmussen. At Apple, she said, we put the customer at the center of everything we do. And we're thrilled that the Apple Upgrade offers customers both online and in-store a more flexible way to pay for the products they love. They're not paying for the products they love. They're paying to kind of hang on to the products they love for a while, and then it's up to them what they do after. There's a lot about this that doesn't strike me as being customer-centric, and I don't think I would care. Like what I said on macOS Ken, it is fine not to put the customer at the center of everything you do. You can put the customer near the center of everything you do. You can say that you're working hard to serve the customer while you also whatever. But if you say you put the customer at the center of everything you do, and then, if you want the iPhone, you have to be on one of the big three carriers, which is going to cost you more money than being on a prepaid carrier. If you're going to take away Apple Care Plus, which used to be included in the iPhone upgrade program, which is not the same thing, and maybe that's part of the confusion as well, because this is called Apple Upgrade, that was called iPhone Upgrade, yet they act very differently financially. And finally, if you're not going to have Apple's most affordable products in there, like the entry-level iPad or the Mac Mini or the MacBook Neo, is the customer really at the center of everything you're doing at this point? And if it's not going to be, as I say, that's fine, but maybe don't tell me it is.
Okay. Actually, that's a fair statement, but I think it's a statement that applies in a much broader space for Apple than this new upgrade program. I don't feel like the customer's been at the center of what Apple does for a very long time. And to be fair, Apple is not our friend. Apple is a corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And Apple's purpose is to generate revenue and profit. We're just lucky enough that a lot of what they do aligns with the things that we want. And when you look at what other companies are doing, they're doing the same thing. But I don't think other companies have as loyal a following because they aren't as good at creating products that better align with what people want. But no, Apple has not had us at the center of everything they do for a long time. They definitely take us into consideration.
Well, they kind of have to, because if they don't, then they don't have anything that they're doing for the customer at all.
Right.
Yeah. Should they say that, though?
It would be refreshing if that's what all companies did. If they're just straight up like, hey, we made a thing that we think you'll like.
Right.
But legit, we just want you to give us money. So go check it out and send us a check.
At Apple,
credit card.
We put recurring revenue at the center of everything we do. Is not nearly as inspiring, I guess.
No, but it is pretty accurate.
So the problem that you're hearing from people then is the whole thing about it not being a good finance program. That's the kind of pushback you're hearing, because you also say in your blog post, available online at jeffgamet.com, do not let me forget. You also say in your blog post that you were talking with Marty Gensius, who has a pretty cool Apple Vision Pro podcast and is part of a bunch of other podcasts. Remind me, do you know off the top of your head what his site is?
I believe it's Pod Talk Network or Pod Talk.
I'll find out during the break and we'll make sure that we say it properly. Marty Gensius, though, spelled like it sounds.
Yeah.
Best of luck to you. Anyway, Marty actually said, where was it? Marty argued that he's concerned that people who aren't financially able or responsible enough will use Apple Upgrade to get iPhones and Macs that they otherwise can't afford. And you said you don't think it's Apple's responsibility to manage their customers' finances.
Yes. And to go along with that, I said, I've never actually seen an Apple Store employee, when someone's buying a Mac or an iPhone, ask before they take that credit card, are you sure you can really afford this? Mm-hmm. It's just like, yes, thank you. I mean, there is a little bit of a barrier to entry if you're doing something that involves credit, because if you don't have the credit, then you don't get the thing. But still, Marty's concern that people that aren't able for whatever reason to adequately manage their finances, or they don't have the understanding or experience to be able to do that, can get themselves in a bind. Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's not just with this, though. I mean, that's with any purchase they make. And I think part of the problem we have here is that a lot of us do see Apple as our friend and our ally. Mm-hmm. And so you like to think that friend is looking out for your best interests all the time. Mm-hmm. And like I said a minute ago, Apple's not our friend. And so do they have a responsibility?
Well, I mean, you say that, though, as somebody who has worked off and on professionally for decades, like watching Apple. I mean, it was your job to watch them, I think, with a bit of a jaded eye. And I don't know if you did that because it was your job, or if you were good at the job because you did that automatically. I mean, there's so much about the Apple Store that I absolutely love. And I try to find everything wrong for anyone with anything they do, because it's not my job to be their cheerleader, and they're certainly not paying me to do that, right? Yeah. And so where you come at it from a place of, I'm going to be, I hate to use the term jaded again, but I'm going to be professionally jaded about it to make sure that I'm keeping my objectivity, right? And I'm trying to come at it from the same sort of place. Most people aren't. And Apple has very much set themselves up to be everyone's friend. And they've used it feels to me for the general consumer, they're kind of using that friendship now in ways that, well, I mean, might move the customer even further from the center that they say the customer inhabits.
All right. Well, the jaded part of me says that's some pretty good marketing right there.
It's not bad, yeah.
But the other side of that, you're right. Does that put Apple in a position where they have a higher obligation to their customer because their good marketing has people believing that they're your friend?
Yeah, I think we both agree the answer is no.
But it doesn't make it an easier pill to swallow.
No, it's no. We might need to chop that up in pieces and like mix it in with our kibble.
Yeah.
More with Guy being a dude, Jeff Gamet in a moment. But first a word from today's sponsor, OneSkin, a new standard for your skin. There are lots of reasons to try OneSkin. It's certified safe for sensitive skin, with no added colors, scents, or alcohols. It was founded by an all-woman team of longevity scientists. They've made a product not just about making your skin look better, but about maintaining your skin's health. Lots of reasons to try OneSkin, and I'll give you one more. It works for me. I've been using OS 1 Face from OneSkin and seeing great results. Dry, flaky patches that have bothered me for ages are under control. It's making a difference I can see and feel, while OS 1 Body relieves some dryness I felt as the seasons changed. Both have left my skin feeling softer to the touch. See what they can do for you at oneskin.co/macOSken. With over a decade of research behind it, OneSkin's OS 1 peptide is proven to target the visible signs of aging, helping you unlock your healthiest skin now and as you age. For a limited time, try OneSkin with 15% off using code macOSken at oneskin.co/macOSken. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code macOSken. When they ask where you heard about them, please support this show by telling them it was macOSken. Try OneSkin now with 15% off using code macOSken at oneskin.co/macOSken. Jeff Gamet's here with us online at jeffgamet.com. He sells stuff on his website, by the way. It's not multi-level marketing yet. He's got some art stuff. We'll let him talk about that in a bit. Before we get any further, Marty Gencius, Jencius, Gencius. I shouldn't make fun of how people spell their last names. I mean, sure, my parents made mine as easy as could be. But Marty Gencius, his website is thepodtalk.net. Thepodtalk.net. A number of shows, including one about Apple Vision Pro, which I forgot to get the information for during the break, so shame on me. But thepodtalk.net is where you can find the one about Apple Vision Pro and a bunch of other stuff too, so check that out when you can. That is not what Jeff and I are talking about today, though. We are talking about the Apple Upgrade Program and maybe some other stuff too. Let me ask you a question about this upgrade program thing, and again about the sort of customer centricity versus the recurring revenue centricity. Apple does not like to, and we're going to talk about the last week's earnings call for a second. Apple does not like to guide past the current quarter. They won't do it. They say they won't do it, and they absolutely did on the last call. And they didn't say they were doing it, but they said, yeah, there are going to be supply constraints for our products in the September quarter, and that's not going to get any better after that. Apple has also said, hey, we want to rent you stuff, or, let you lease stuff, not rent you stuff. I apologize. That's not the same thing. Want to lease you stuff, give you the option to pay a bigger payment at the end to actually buy the thing, or just turn it back into us and you can lease some more stuff from us. And this is a program that has already launched. Apple has said they are not going to have enough product to go around. I mean, without saying those exact words, they have heavily implied They're not going to have a lot of product, enough product to go around. I walk into an Apple store come middle of October, maybe looking to pick up a new iPad, looking to pick up a new Mac, maybe a new iPhone. My choices are I can pay for it or I can do the lease program. Are they going to have enough for what? And what are they going to lean towards? I'm sorry, do you want to buy this outright or do you want to lease it from us? Oh, you want to buy it? Okay, it's going to be 6 weeks. Oh, you want to lease it? Sign right here. We'll check in the back. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but this is coming at kind of an odd time, it seems to me, with Apple saying, yeah, we have all this great stuff to lease you, except for the part where we actually have all the great stuff.
Yeah, we live in interesting times, don't we?
We do. We do.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how they handle that as well.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is that when you go in and ask, hey, can I buy an iPhone today or can I get an iPhone today?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do what they've always done, which is ask you which model you want or help you pick out the model you want and then make sure that it's in stock. And then you go from there. I don't think that they're going to say, yeah, that iPhone 18 Pro is in stock in the color you want. And then when you say, yeah, I'm going to buy it outright instead of lease, they're not going to turn around and say, oh, our bad. It's not in stock for you.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of things I should say. The question I just posed is almost alarmist. It's just, I'll be honest, I came off last week's earnings call kind of alarmed because initially when they said things like supply chain, my thought was they're talking about not being able to get memory. And then I realized that's actually not just what they're talking about. They're literally talking about possibly not having enough stuff to go around. That said, America, I believe, is still, or the U.S. is still, I believe, their biggest customer base. China is second, although China might, that might be a back and forth. I don't know. Apple's going to do what it can, I think, to please its most profitable customers, let's say. You're going to run out of stuff in Lithuania before you run out of stuff in Leavenworth, Pennsylvania. I couldn't think of another thing that started with an L that quickly. You're going to run out of stuff other places before you run out in the U.S. and China, I think. The other thing to point out is the lease program currently is only available in the U.S. So the lease program isn't going to cause a run on hardware. If it does, they've got even bigger problems than we realized they had before they said last week, yeah, we got some seriously big problems.
Those are the places that I'm sure analysts are looking as they assess how to value Apple over the coming months. Apple's in an ugly position right now, but they're not alone. Look at all of these tech companies that want to build things, and they're all facing the same parts constraints.
Yeah.
Apple's ace in the hole, if you will, is that Tim Cook has been so good as a parts guy and a supply chain guy. So Apple has probably stronger supply chain relationships than most other companies. And because of their buying power, can leverage that to have a higher likelihood of getting parts that they need. It's not going to be enough. And we can see that already. Like Mac Minis are hard to get a hold of. And sure, a lot of that's because of the whole AI thing. But then again, that's what's driving a lot of these parts constraints that we're seeing. So it's going to suck. And I'm sure that we are all at some point going to be disappointed when we can't get the instant gratification of getting the product we want when we want it.
There was one other thing that I meant to bring up last segment, and I kind of want to revisit it just because, again, about the sort of like putting the customer at the center of things. Because you were talking about the argument that you were having with Marty about, well, not argument that you were having with him, but the discussion you were having with Marty about, is it Apple's responsibility to look after the finances of its consumers? Apple comes out and says, we do everything we do for the consumer, and yet the most affordable things to lease, the entry-level iPad, the MacBook Neo, the Mac Mini. I joked about this one on Mac OS X last week, actually. The Mac Mini, people would pay so much to be able to lease a Mac Mini right now because they want to be able to do their agentic AI stuff on it, but you can't get one because, I mean, just the wait for them is forever. Now, maybe Apple doesn't want to put the Mac Mini up for lease because they can't make them right now. Or maybe Apple doesn't want to put them up for lease because that's not as lucrative, let's say, as putting up the Apple Studio for lease. I do wonder about the whole, like, we're going to make this more affordable for more people, which I believe is one of the arguments they have in their press release, but not the most affordable because, well, come on.
All right. I think it's a little column A and a little column B. I don't think that for the Mac Mini that Apple can produce enough to meet demand as it is right now.
Right.
Let alone handle that as part of a lease program. And then as far as leasing goes, I think for consumers, that's probably not a product that Apple sees the demand for leasing. That's a place where leasing probably, or I'm speculating here, but I'm guessing the market is showing that leasing Mac Minis is a thing that happens like in data centers.
Yeah.
And not so much at the consumer level.
Okay, but talking about the other things, so I mean, the fact that Apple is willing to lease you the iPhone 17e, but is unwilling to lease you the iPad, I mean, is that because they see recurring revenue coming from the iPhone in terms of, subscriptions you might sign up for, apps you might buy, things like that, which they don't see as much of from the iPad?
I think that's part of it. I think the other part of it is Apple knows how often people upgrade devices.
Yeah.
And if there are devices that Apple can see the pattern where it's like, yeah, someone buys the base model iPad, they hold on to it for 6 years. I'm making this number up.
Easily. No, I had mine for 8 before I got my next entry-level iPad.
Okay. And just to validate that even more, when Apple released the first USB-C iPad Pro, that was 2018, I bought that. And I didn't replace it until after we both got back home from Macstock.
Wow. Okay. So that's a day or two.
Yeah. And I mean, it was overdue, but at the same time, it's like, this thing still keeps working. Why should I replace it? And then finally it's like, yeah, I just need to go ahead and pull the trigger on that.
I guess the one thing that I wish, and maybe it's because I don't know, man. Because I want all things for all people, I suppose. There are people for whom the, what was it, $399, now $499 entry-level iPad, or was it $299, now $399, or $329 to $429? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
The entry-level iPad, though, just went up by $100 because of the whole memory crisis thing. There may be people for whom that is a bridge too far, that amount of money is too much, but they can easily do $5 or $10 a month. I mean, that's I wish it was for everybody. I wish it was for the rest of us, I guess, or the rest of them. And then sometime we can have this whole big discussion about whether Apple is widening the tech haves and have-nots chasm that seem to be closing for a bit. Unfortunately, though, we are out of time for today. Now, before we go, I've said jeffgamet.com contractually enough times, I think, but you actually do have stuff on there besides your tech musings, ramblings, consternations, and such. What else is on the site?
Well, I mean, yes, you can find a page that actually I need to update that lists different podcasts that I'm on.
Okay.
So that's there. But then the other thing that
Name
I
the
believe
podcast, dude. Name the podcast.
All right. Well, I'll give you the list off the top of my head. Chuck Joyner's Mac Voices Live, Dave Ginsburg's In Touch with iOS, Brian Chaffin and I, we do The Context Machine, producer Brenda Moore and I, we do Retro Rewatch. A bunch of us that used to do British Tech Network shows when that was still a thing. We got together, and now on Friday mornings, we do Tech Hangout. And here's a little Star Trek bit for you that most people don't know. Guy Searle and I, we just started playing around with the idea of doing a Star Trek podcast. So, no kidding. Okay,
Why?
so when you and I...
Oh my God, why? Anyway, yes?
What? Well, because Guy's wrong and I have to tell the world.
Oh, okay.
So
that's why I used to do the Star Trek podcast I did. Not because of Guy, but...
but because you had to tell people why they were wrong.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I get it.
Yeah, kind of like having you on today. Okay, so there is this other thing where you are actually kind of maybe pushing a little, not pushing, offering a little merch.
Yes. Yeah. On the webpage, if you click the menu option for Jeff's art, it'll take you to my store, or just go to jeffgamet.com/merch. And I've been slowly adding things there, and it's all my original art. And so you reproductions of my original art on different things.
jeffgamet.com is the place to check it out. And this isn't like an ad or anything, but he was good enough to spend part of his Saturday with me. So why not pay it forward, back? I don't know, whichever way. jeffgamet.com also, where you can find that essay that pretty much started off this conversation today. And people can leave comments there as well.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah. Okay. You'd rather they didn't. I'm sorry. The way you said that. Yeah.
Well, no, I was thinking, is there something clever and funny I should say? And then I realized, no, I should just say, yeah, go ahead and leave comments.
Oh, you see, that does sound better, because before it sounded like you were kind of nervous.
It's I've been in this industry so long that I've heard the worst of it, and I'm on social media.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
so that says a lot there.
Here's the line that I wish you had said. I've been in this industry so long, I remember when it was still an industry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was
okay.
a missed opportunity.
We'll edit it in, and I'll pretend to be you. Jeff Gamet, thank you very much for spending part of your day with us today. I really appreciate it.
Ken, I'm happy to do it, and thanks for reaching out.
You heard us mention Marty Gensius in today's show. I had a revelatory moment at MaxDoc last month around an Apple Vision Pro that Marty brought to the conference. Eye-opening, illustrating things about Apple's headset that I just don't get. Marty will clue us in on more of those tomorrow. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Helix Sleep. Get 20% off site-wide at helixsleep.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by OneSkin, a new standard for your skin. Try it now with 15% off using code macOSKen at oneskin.co/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOSKen at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macOSKen.com. Until next time, that will do this special edition of macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Collect your tokens and let's get on to the next round.